you have a terrific base unit that you can use to mount boxes, bikes, spare tires, any sorts of things. We build molle panels that can go inside these cavities that further expand the ability for what you can mount. You can use this as a ladder and you can climb up to the roof if you had nothing else on one side. The capabilities are almost endless with our Massif system. Now let's get to this install. Hey, Colton with Avatar here. Today we're going to install our Massif rear door mounting system on a transit trail, both driver and passenger side. So among the provided hardware, we have a 3/8 drill bit. We have this handle that we're going to use a couple different ways. One is for setting the plus nuts, of which you might need 1 or 3, depending on if your door has a handle on the inside of the passenger. Got 1/4 20 bolts. They're going to be used with our plus nuts. You're going to need a most likely a quarter drive ratchet with a 7mm, and then a standard 3/8 ratchet, a drill. We're going to need a T30 Torx, a number metric 13 socket, and a 9/16 socket. Optionally, you can use a 5/16 drill bit. We'll go over that in a little bit. 9/16 wrench, and a 3/8 wrench. This tiny little spacer is exactly that. It's a spacer for the handle on the driver's side. And then these brackets here are in case you have 180 hinges on your van. We'll use these spacers. If you have 270 hinges, then we will not use these spacers. Now on this van, I actually have both hinges so you can determine which one you have. This is 180 hinge, so it's gonna look a bit more solid, only a single pin here. Whereas if we go around to the passenger side, this has 2 pins, and these kind of extra bits. This is a 270 hinge. Another way you can tell if your van had 270 hinges on it or does is you should have these bump stops. With the 180 hinges, you'll see we have right in here, that's our spacer that we provided. So door, bracket, spacer, and then mounting bracket for the Massif. Whereas on the 270 hinge, we have door, then the hinge, and then our bracket without a spacer. As with all of these Ford vans, they have this lock feature, which prevents the door from coming back in or opening. Or if you unlock it, that's when the door will pass 90 degrees. With any boxes installed, bike racks, any of that kind of thing, you're not gonna wanna go really much past about here anyway. So making sure that you leave it into its locked position most of the time is gonna be normal. If you open it beyond that, you're just gonna have to be aware and careful. For the passenger side, you're gonna need a drill, and you're gonna use this 3/8 drill bit that we provide. You're also gonna want a 3/8 socket and a 3/8 drive impact. Now the brackets are gonna come in a box. You're gonna pull them out. We've got our driver and passenger setups. So we're now gonna start with our lower and upper hinge brackets. Before we get to that point though, we wanna examine the door and kind of look at how the fit is, making sure that, so even right now I can feel that this door is slightly proud of that door. We might be able to fix that. We've got a little bit of proud here and here, but up at the top, we don't. It's actually pretty smooth. If your van has been previously built out and they've done anything to the rear doors, there's a chance that the door alignment might not be 100% perfect, but we're gonna be messing with the alignment as we put our brackets on, so we can fix any little potential errors that either the factory made or that were done previously. So we've got a good even reveal on the center. We've got a nice, getting a little bit bigger reveal as we get to the top, slightly smaller here than there. We're going to end up doing both sides, so we're looking at both sides of this door. So on this side, we've got something similar. We're a little bit tighter here than there, but this door appears to be a little bit further to the left than that door. Something we'll address as we go through it. We're gonna start with the passenger door. We're gonna open this up. So this is the handle on the inside. There's a chance that your van did not come with this handle. If it didn't, then that's when we'll go through how to use the other two. There's a little notch right here on both sides, so you can get a flathead screwdriver in here. Careful of your van paint. Pull that handle off, set it aside. That will reveal 2 screws. So we're gonna take our 7mm socket and we're gonna loosen these screws and then pull these all the way out. With that off, you can now pull this guy off like that, and that'll reveal 2 more screws. Most of the time, this handle that's in here is in there good enough that it's not gonna fall back on itself. But for good measure, if you just start one of the screws back on, you won't have to worry about the handle. With those removed, now the actual handle can come off. This should be sturdy enough. If it feels like it's not going to go anywhere, you don't have to keep this on there, but some of them are slightly loose and this can fall in. This is the release mechanism for the rear door. Our passenger side interior bracket is going to line up with those 4 holes, those 4 studs. We're going to grab 2 of the original bolts and put them back on temporarily. You don't have to use any particular 2 holes. You can put it on any of the 4 studs. All we're doing right now is we're lining up this hole here. All right, with these 2 loosely started, we're gonna just put a little tension on them. And now we've got this hole that you can either mark it, pull this bracket off and drill, or you can take a 5/16 drill bit, which is the size of this hole, but not the final size that we need. So you can use this as a guide to start that hole. We'll then pull this bracket off, switch to a 3/8 drill bit, and then finish the whole size. If you're at all worried that the stripping the paint here is a bad thing, nothing to worry about. This is a stainless steel bracket, so the paint is not the only thing keeping it from rusting. So we now have our 5/16 hole here. We're gonna take our 3/8 drill bit and lightly open up that hole the rest of the way. Because we've drilled a hole in our raw sheet metal, there's a small exposed edge. Probably nothing to worry about, but if you would like, an added step you can do is take any paint. This happens to be an enamel primer. Shoot just a little bit onto just a piece of any kind of cloth and kind of give it a little paint. We're gonna end up covering this up anyway, so if it doesn't match perfectly, it's at least something. So one of the bolts that you're provided is a little bit longer, 1.25 inches. So we're gonna take our little holding tool on the small hole there. We're gonna fit this through and start this plus nut. We're gonna take this guy, press it into the hole there. We're gonna use this now to set our plus nut. I recommend at least one-handed, having a glove of some kind, just because we're gonna hold on to that handle we just installed. So we're gonna hold on to this handle, put our socket on here, and drive it until it's set. We're gonna finish putting on our bracket on the center. So we're gonna reinstall it over our studs. Go ahead and just start an outer one real quick so we don't have to hold on to it. We're gonna put the handle back in place and get a couple more nuts started. Gonna go back using our 7mm. We're gonna tighten these up, but we wanna be careful not to over tighten this. So if you're using a ratchet of this like an 8-inch long ratchet, we're really gonna choke up so we don't get a whole lot of torque. Just get it tight, but not over tight. Next thing it goes back on is the pull handle. So it's gonna go back over the handle itself. I find it's easiest with these if you just take your socket and put the nut on it and get it started by hand, and then do that again on the bottom. Put the socket in, that guy started, and then again, careful not to over tighten. The third bolt on the outside is our 1/4-20. It's gonna go into our plus nut there. You're gonna grab either your 3/8 wrench or your 3/8 socket. Even if we use an impact, we want to make sure we tighten this by hand. And then we'll lastly reinstall this cover, starting from this side, swinging it around and snapping it into place. Fuse, because your van does not have this handle, this interior release handle right here, and you have no holes whatsoever, we're gonna have to do the install just a little bit differently. The extra 2 plus nuts and the extra 2 1/4-inch bolts, you're gonna use those instead. So we're gonna install both lower and upper hinges. We're gonna install the Massif itself with somebody helping hold it. And then we're gonna put the bracket on the Massif, line this up because we're gonna be bolted to the Massif, drill out this hole. We're then gonna come on the inside here. We're gonna drill out these 2 holes to 5/16. We're gonna mark and drill the van door to 5/16. Drill those out, open it up to 3/8, and repeat the exact same process we did to set 2 more plus nuts. That's gonna be done again on these outer 2 holes. If you got both in your kit, these are the lower bracket. You can tell because it has an L. On the passenger side, which is where we're working right now, it's going to be correctly reading. On the driver's side, it's going to be wrong reading L. You can also kind of determine this because the taller portion of this bracket is towards the top of the door, and there's a little chamfer towards the bottom on the outside. So we're going to take this passenger side bracket. If, for instance, you do have 180 hinges, this is the shim that you're going to be using, and it goes in between like this. So behind our bracket, in between the door hinge still. Gives it a little extra space. Your buddy is now going to support the outer part of the door. If it's currently swung all the way at 270, we're actually going to pull it closed by about 20 degrees. We're going to grab a ratchet. You can use a mechanic ratchet. I'm going to start using this electric ratchet and a 13mm socket. So we're going to start on this lower hinge. And 2, and before we do our third, we need to make sure we have a buddy holding onto the door so that this door doesn't fall on us. Loosen this third hinge. The door's gonna move a little, that's okay. We're gonna take this bracket and it's gonna go like this in this orientation. So we're gonna open this door up, swing this bracket into place. You might need to move the door just a little, that's okay. And then I want you to make sure you hand tighten all 3 screws. Once all 3 are hand tight, or at least hand started, you can start lining it up. You can see now we've got a little bit of a paint line. That's what we're gonna aim for when we put the door back together. Because we have the ability right now to adjust. This is the in and out of the door. So if I get it close and then want to make an adjustment, I can do this by pulling or pushing on the door and the hinge. I can make those adjustments. So we'll get it right about where I feel like it's gonna be. Get that one tight. Your buddy now doesn't have any weight. And then we're gonna do a final tighten later. So these are just nice and snug, but they're not fully tightened. We're gonna now go up to the upper hinge. This upper bracket, if you take a look at it, has a U. And again, the little chamfer on the outside is towards the bottom. We're gonna repeat the same process on this upper hinge. Let your buddy know before you do the third one. And pull this hinge in, swing this in, put it in place. All right, once again, we have the ability to move this hinge a little. So we're gonna get some adjustment in. Now that the hinges and the inner bracket are on, we're gonna just real carefully close the door, or at least start to close it. I can see already that we're a little tight. And I was afraid of that when I saw how big the edge gap was and how tight this middle was. We need just a little bit more clearance in the center. So what we're gonna do is we need to adjust the door outward. Now the lower hinge is pretty straightforward. The upper hinge, however, is a little bit tricky. So hopefully your van has access, because Ford did 1 bolt in and 1 bolt out from the inside. So you're gonna need your 13mm and at least an 8-inch extension in order to reach this. So you're gonna feed it through the cavity on the back side and loosen this hinge. Once that is done, which I just did a minute ago, now you have this 3rd bolt. That one is just an alignment pin. It's not actually a bolt. So we're gonna just loosen up that ever so slightly. And now we should be able to, I'm gonna use a little mallet here. You can see that it actually was adjusted once before because there's some paint showing on the inside, but they moved it the wrong way for what we need. So we moved it a little bit. I'm not gonna tighten the inside one just yet because I wanna see if it's right first. So anytime you make a hinge adjustment, keep an eye on where the hinges are and make sure that you're not gonna hit anything. Now I've actually got, it helped a bit. It's not perfect. We've still got, we're close. The problem we have now is that we're a little tighter at the bottom than the top. So I'm gonna make another small adjustment to the bottom hinge, doing the same thing and shifting the bottom hinge over. So on the lower hinge, again, you have this alignment pin, one tension pin, and then the third one is from the other side. So you're gonna need a 13mm open ring. You can slide in and loosen it from the back side here. Make a small adjustment. We've moved, keeps wanting to bounce back, that's okay. All right, so we're gonna just lightly tighten those. Double check our door and our alignment. And now we've got enough clearance. We've actually got a little bit of clearance. This is also when we tighten up to the Massif, this bracket's gonna pull to the right just a little. So it'll give us even more than we've got now. All right, since those are all tight, we'll finish tightening it up. And we're good and done with the adjustment on this side. We're gonna now start in on the driver's side, putting the hinge brackets in place. First one is gonna be our center bracket. We're gonna take our T30 and we're gonna loosen and remove this bolt. Take off the handle. We're gonna then grab our plus nut setting tool that we used earlier. We're gonna reinstall this same bolt. I'll just keep this when we remove these other two bolts next. Now we have a handle to hold on to so the handle doesn't fall into the door. We're gonna grab our center bracket. We're gonna pull the door gasket away just a little bit there in the center. Slip this bracket in. It's gonna line up with those two spots. Grab the two bolts that we just removed. And if you kind of hold on to this handle, you can pull it back. You can make sure you get these started. Your kit will come with a small single-use Loctite. We're gonna use actually a full-size Loctite to do this. But these two little screws that we just pulled out, we're gonna put a dab of Loctite. Doesn't need to be much, just one good drop. We're done with the handle extension. We'll add a small little dab of Loctite onto this third bolt. There it goes. And then we're gonna grab our small little washer, this little double D spacer. We're gonna slide it into the back side of our handle. And we're gonna reinstall our handle. With the bracket now fully installed, we're gonna just reinstall the gasket. The hinge install is the same on the driver's side as it was on the passenger side. So we're gonna start on this lower hinge. As we start undoing the hinges here, just make sure you have a buddy ready to hold onto the door so that it doesn't sag and fall while you're doing the install. So as soon as you're ready to do the third one, your buddy needs to be ready to hold on to the door so that it doesn't drop on you. If this were the 180 hinge, which this is not, it would go here and it would go in between like that. But since it's not a 180 hinge, we're gonna put it out to the side. Again, the first time you close it, go slow. Make sure there's no collisions or impacts. Door's a little bit tighter fitting than it was when we started. I like the way that's fitting. Now it's time to install the Massifs. Okay, this is our driver's side Massif. You can tell because our lower bracket is out to the driver's side here on the left. So I just pulled out the hardware for mounting the Massif. We've got 3/8 16 bolts by 1 inch long, and we've got some 3/8 nylock nuts. We're gonna start by taking just 3 of these, and I'm just gonna loosely put one into these 2 because I can reach those 2. I'm gonna keep the third one close at hand, Again, this is only because I'm trying to do it by myself, as many of you might be. If you had a buddy, you don't have to do it this way. You could have somebody hold these nuts. I'm gonna now grab onto that nut, line up the hole, get it started. Now the Massif is kind of sitting on it. I'm gonna go up to the top one. I'm gonna get it started, pushing up on it so that it stays there. We're gonna go over to the middle. We're gonna stick a bolt through, and now it'll actually hold itself there for a second while we grab some nuts and get it fastened in place. So just go ahead and get a couple nuts started. Just loosely so we don't have to worry about it anymore. Start that one. I find it's easiest if I just slide the nut from behind and then start it by hand. Put it up against the wall, start it through. I'm just gonna get those all started. Last one in the middle. All right, with all of those started, we're gonna grab a 9/16 box open wrench and a 7/32 hex head drive, Allen drive for the bolts. No particular place you need to start, so just pick a spot. I like to start on the hinge side first, maybe one down low, go up above, make sure that because if you tighten all of them up, you could lock the angle of the Massif in. It's a little bit of adjustability. You'll notice that I haven't actually been tightening any of these bolts until now, because I like to get all of them close before I tighten them all up. So now that I'm on the last one, I'm gonna actually start tightening. Give it a nice little torque, and we'll go back through and tighten all of them by hand, not using this mechanical ratchet. The transit driver's side Massif is now complete installed. Now we're going to install the passenger side. Same as we did on the driver, I'm going to put in a single bolt, bottom and top, have one in a pocket or nearby at hand. Bolt this in my left hand this time. Grab onto that bolt, get that guy started. Go up, grab that bolt, get that guy started. Come over to the middle and get my third bolt started. We're gonna grab 3 nuts. And don't worry if it looks like it's a little askew, that's okay. We want a little bit of compression gap, and it's sagging just a hair because we don't have everything tightened in just yet. So get the nut behind, get the bolt started. And our 7/32. We're just gonna get close. We'll do a final tighten later. If while tightening the nut, you can't seem to get the socket to come back out, put your ratchet into reverse real quick, give it a little tap, it'll pop right out. All right, we just finished doing our final tighten of all our bolts. You can see now that the Massifs on both driver and passenger are installed. All right, guys, that was our install. Thanks for watching.